Hello, everyone. I'm sorry that I won't be available for class this week. What I have done is I have recorded the videos for this week's lessons. Um, I have put all the links on Burlington and have been able to link you through. So what I would like you to do this week is watch the videos and then do the activities that I have linked in. And then once I see your scores and how much time you've put into every activity, that's what the time I will put for your attendance for this week. So again, I apologize. I am off in Utah hiking at this moment, and hopefully having a good time. So I hope everybody had a wonderful 3 weeks rest from class and enjoyed some much needed time off and recovery as well. So I'm excited to get back into it. And hopefully I will see you in person in another week or so. So here's the first video. This one's for Monday, July 8th. And so I will just walk you through it. And then I expect you to go back into Burlington and make sure you do your independent lessons. Again, the time I see that you spent on your independent lessons is what I will put in for your attendance time for this week. So let's get started. Today is Monday, so we are going to work on grammar. And so what we're going to do is we have for under your virtual class scheduler. So when you log into Burlington and your virtual class scheduler, I have it labeled Monday, July 8th. Okay. And so this is what we're going to be working on. So I have two levels. I have beginners and intermediate for you. And I'll go over the in class. We'll work on a worksheet. I'll show you and model it for you, and then I'll let you go back and practice it, okay? So in the beginner, we're on lesson 14, and it is for have or has. Okay, so when you're using your pronouns he, she, or it, and you're just talking about something that you own or somebody in your family, you're going to use the verb has. Okay, so he has pictures. She has pictures. It doesn't have pictures. Okay, so anytime that's always the positive, you're going to use has. So something that you have or own, or talking about your family. He has a daughter. She has a son. It has a collar. Okay. Now let's say it's in the negative. It's not something that you have or that is true. Okay. Instead of using the verb has, you're going to use the verb have. So anytime it has a not in it or a negative, you're going to use the verb have. He does not have pictures. Or you can say she doesn't have pictures. It doesn't have pictures in it. Okay, so if it's a positive, you're going to use has. If it's a negative, you're going to use have. Okay, and it's always going to come after the verb. Okay, does not have, or you can contract it where it says doesn't have. So if you want to ask a yes/no question, using he, she, or it, the pronouns, okay, you're always going to use does, and then you're going to put in your pronoun. Does he have a pen? And then you can say yes or no. Okay, so always, if you want to ask a yes/no question, always start with does, and you're going to use have. Does she have a pen? No, she doesn't. Does it have a pen? No. Okay, so let's go back and we'll practice a little bit of this. All right, so I will download these worksheets and email them to you as well. So you will have everything you need to kind of go by. All right. Now, if we're going to complete this grammar box and we have to choose between have and has, or doesn't, or does not have, okay? So anytime it's a positive, always when it's a positive, you're going to say has. He has pens. She has pens. It has pens. Okay, so the rule is if it is positive, so meaning yes, it's true, or yes, you have one, you're going to use has. Okay. If it is negative, that means it has a not in it. You're gonna say not have. He, oops, I forgot my doesn't. My apologies. He does not have pens. Okay. Or you can contract does not into doesn't have. And you always need to use have anytime you have that negative in that sentence, okay? It doesn't have pens. Excuse me. So if it is negative, it means it has a not in it. Okay. You're going to use does not have. Okay. So if I'm going to ask a question, and it's going to be a yes or no question, does he have? So anytime you ask a question, you're going to use have. And it's either going to be yes or no. Yes, he does. Okay, so if I'm going to ask a question here, does she have a picture? No, she doesn't. Okay, again, that N apostrophe T is a contraction for not. Does it have a picture? No, it doesn't. All right. So anytime you ask a yes, no question, I'm gonna run out of room here, use have. Does that make sense? Okay, excuse me. So let's practice some more. So my uncle blank 2 children. So since I have just an uncle, okay, it's talking and and he obviously has it. It's going to be a positive. There's no negative in there. You're going to use has. My uncle has 2 children. Okay, Ron blank a meeting. So either Ron have a meeting or Ron has a meeting. Again, there's no not or negative in the sentence, so you're going to use has. I blank a tall girlfriend. Okay, now here's where it's different. Okay, I have the pronoun I. Since I have the pronoun I, that does not meet these rules. It's only using he, she, or it. So when you use the pronoun I, it says I have a tall girlfriend. Doesn't use has, I have. Right? Now again, this one is she. Okay, so she blank beautiful children. There's no negative in there, so we're going to use has. She has beautiful children. You and Lynn. Okay, so now this one's a little different. So like Ron and my uncle, we're talking about one singular, and we could substitute he for either one of them. He has a meeting. He has 2 children. Okay, but with this one, I have multiple people. Okay, and I have the pronoun you. So since I have the pronoun you, and I'm also not talking about Lynn, so anytime I have more than one person, I'm going to use have. You and Lynn have a beautiful daughter. Okay. Does that make sense? So that one kind of breaks the rules a little bit. So anytime, so you have to always pay attention to your pronouns, okay? He, she, it's, labeling a singular man or woman, you're going to use has. Anytime you have a you or I in there, you're you're going to use have. Okay, so now we complete the sentences with don't have or doesn't have. Again, it has that negative, so you have to use have. Okay, so I don't have daughters. Okay, so since it's I, you're not going to use doesn't. You're going to use don't. But now since it's he or she, you're going to use he doesn't have grandfathers. Okay, so again, it has to do with this rule up here. He does not have or he doesn't have. Okay, anytime I use I, you, it's have. Or I don't. You don't. Okay, again, we blank a nephew. All right, so since we have the pronoun we, that doesn't add with he, she, or it, we're going to say don't. We don't have a nephew. Now, my friend. My friend could be substituted for he or she, depending on who your friend is. So you're going to use doesn't. My friend doesn't have a big family. And again, now we have the pronoun you. And you doesn't match the same rule of doesn't, so you're going to use don't. You don't have a sister? All right. And so when we ask questions, so we have this diagram here. And it's about the Green family, okay? So we have Brenda is married to Ben, and they have a son named John. Alexi is married to Samuel, and they have two children, Sandy and Brett. Well, Sandy is married to John, and they have two children, Tim and Martha. Okay, so if we had to ask questions based on the Green family, could we say, is Martha's grandma, does Martha have a grandmother? Okay. Yes, she does. She has two. She has Brenda and Alexi. Now, if we have, what else could we say? Does Tim have an uncle? Yes, he does. Okay, because Tim, whose mom is Sandy, and Sandy has a brother named Brett. So Tim has an uncle named Brett. Okay, so that's how you ask those questions. All right, so now we're going to complete the dialogue using have or has. So like, do you blank family in New York, Sue? So since I'm talking to Sue and I'm asking a question, I'm going to use have. Do you have family in New York, Sue? And Sue's going to say, yes, I do. I blank one aunt. She's my mother's sister. So since my pronoun is I'm going to use have. Yes, I do. I have one aunt. And Bob's going to say, well, that's nice. And Sue says, Bob, do you blank family in New York? Okay, so she's asking a question. Since she's asking a question, I'm going to use have. Bob, do you have family in New York? Bob is going to say, no, I don't, because there's that I in there. I don't have family in New York. But and since we're using the pronoun I, we're going to use the verb have. I have a sister in London. And Sue asks, is your sister married? And Bob says, yes. And she, so now I have the pronoun she, Since I have that pronoun she, we're going to use has. She has 2 children. Okay, so that is the beginner part of the Burlington grammar, using have or has with she, he, or it. Okay, so I will download this and email it to you. She, he, it, have, and has. Okay, so I will have that for you to look at. Okay, and you can also practice it on your own. Okay, so that is the beginning one. So I'm going to go back to Burlington English into your virtual class scheduler. And of course, click on your red megaphone. Okay. Okay, so for you to practice the beginner grammar, you're going to click right here under July 8th. Now, let's do the intermediate one, okay? For those of you who have a little more English behind you and feeling more comfortable, let's try a harder level. So in the intermediate level, we are working with should, okay? And should also works with positives and negatives, okay? We use should, or we can use shouldn't, which is the contraction of should not. We use it to give advice or to make a suggestion. So you're trying to tell somebody kind of what to do. Okay. Oh, you should take that right there. Or you should park over here. Or you shouldn't do that. Okay. So they're kind of giving people advice or telling or bossing them around. Depends on how you look at it. Now, should and shouldn't is always going to be followed by the base form of the verb, okay? So anytime you use should, it should always be followed by a verb, an action word. So Luke is hungry. He should eat something. Eat is your base verb. It is going to rain. You shouldn't go to the beach, okay? Go is going to be your base verb. So that's what the action is. And it's either telling them that they should do what they're told to do or they shouldn't, okay? So depending on what the verb is. Now, if I want to ask a question, okay, generally we're going to ask a yes or no question, and we're going to start the question with should. And you're usually asking somebody's advice, okay? Or you want them to tell you what they think you should do, okay? So should I travel this summer? Yes, yes, you should. Should they buy a car? No, they shouldn't. Okay. Now, what if I want to use a WH question in it and ask a little more open-ended question instead of getting a yes or no answer? Okay, so you're always going to put that WH question word at the very beginning of the question. And that should be followed by should. Who should she call? What should they do? When should I go to the party? Where should we drive today? Why should I help you? So again, anytime you want a little more open-ended answers from a question instead of a yes or no, you're going to put your WH question word, and it's always going to be followed by should. Because you're asking somebody's opinion, okay? So we'll go to this worksheet. We're going to kind of practice it. And I pulled it into my Kami, so I can kind of draw on it and kind of show you too, all right? So if we're going to read this text and we're looking for our shoulds, okay? So dear Penny, I am working so hard at the moment. My husband, Paul, is very tired too. What should we do? Okay, so again, here's your should. What should we do? They're asking for advice. They want to know what they should do. They want to know your opinion. So Paul thinks we should take a vacation, but we don't have a lot of money. Okay, so if you look at, okay, here's your should, and then here's your base verb, take. We should take. We shouldn't spend money on expensive hotel. Okay, so again, you have shouldn't, the negative part of should, and here's your base verb, spend. We shouldn't spend money on an expensive hotel. My boss says I should find out about an apartment swap. Again, there's your should. Here's your base verb, find. We should find people who will give us their apartment and they will stay in our apartment. Paul likes that idea. What do you think? Should we swap apartments? Again, that's your question verb or question. And anytime you're asking a yes or no question, it starts with should. Okay, now please write and tell me what I should do. So again, they want that yes or no answer. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to leave this one half empty and I want you to complete the rest. Okay, you can email me the answers if you would like to do this. All right, so this one, well, let me blow it up a little bit so it's easier to see. All right. So you're going to complete each sentence ending from this list. So these are your choices right here, okay? Should put them in the dryer, shouldn't run in the competition, shouldn't open the oven door, should take a vacation, shouldn't stay late at the party, should call the repairman. Okay, so if you were going to practice this, we're going to read it and then you're going to have to answer what they need, okay? Which one you think should be there. So the dishwasher is broken. I need someone to fix it. Obviously, if it's broken, I should call the repairman. Oops. Okay. And so since we've done that, we have used this one. All right. So that's how that one works, okay? So number 2, the cake is still baking in the oven. Okay, so I know that I need something about a cake or oven. That would go with this one. You shouldn't open the oven door, okay? So you shouldn't open the oven door. And again, we use this one. So we're going to cross it out, all right? So you are welcome to do the rest of those, and there's 6 of them. Okay, now if we are going to ask a question using should, and we need to use the underlying information to help us, okay? So we're given the answer and then we need to come up with the question. So the answer is no, you shouldn't swap apartments with the Smiths. And obviously, they're asking, let me line that up better. Okay, so they're asking a yes or no question. Since they asked a yes or no question, I'm going to start the question with should. Should we swap apartments? No, you shouldn't swap apartments with the Smiths. Okay, let's go to number 2. The answer is you should buy a laptop at Zap Computer Store. Now, the key word, since the Zap Computer Store is a place, okay? So they're wanting, it's not a yes or no question, so I shouldn't start my question with should. I'm going to start it with a WH question. And since I have a place, I'm going to start it with where. Whoops. Oh, it helps to have the bigger box, doesn't it? So where should I buy a laptop? At Zap Computer Store. Okay, so let's look at number 3. Carlos should call the repairman to fix the air conditioner. So the key word that is underlined in the answer is the repairman, and that's a person. And it's not a yes or no question, so I know I need to start with a WH word, okay? So I could say, who should Carlos call to fix the air conditioner? I have enough room. Okay, Carlos should call the repairman. All right, so that is the intermediate part of should of grammar. All right, so you have a beginner and you have an intermediate. So I will post this one and then I will also download the regular one so you can type on it and practice on your own. Okay, so I will email this to you as well. All right, so that is the grammar part. And if you want to stop the video and go practice your grammar part, you are more than welcome to. Okay. And so in order for you to do these independent lessons in grammar, you're going to click on the virtual class scheduler. Okay. And on the virtual class scheduler, and once you log into Burlington, you're going to click on your red megaphone. And under July 8th, I have an apology here for being absent this week. Hopefully I will be having fun. And so I will also put the link to this video in this as well, so you have it, okay? So what you need to do is you just need to pick one. If you would like to do both, I will pay attention, and on any time, again, any time you put on independent work, that's going to be the time I add to however long this video is, because I'm thinking you're going to watch it. Okay, and then you can just click on either the beginner, which is have or has, or you can click on the intermediate one, should. Okay, so go ahead and you're welcome to stop watching this video. I will end this video and then you can go practice your grammar. Once you are done with your grammar, then come back and watch the second video. Okay, so we will start the L Civics one once you're done with your grammar. All right, so that is what I have for grammar. Go ahead and go practice, and I'll see you in a few minutes.